Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Andrea.
Oh, so glad to see you again.
I'm so happy to see you too.
We're back.
We're back, and hopefully you are too, and you've had success with your winter sow bags.
It's been a few months.
It's been a few months.
Oh my gosh, look at
And
your bags.
We have babies.
Yay, they're beautiful.
Welcome to the world, Cynthia Trickham Porteri.
Oh, wow.
And little blue stem.
This is a grass?
Yep, this is a native grass, and we have Retibita columnifera here, the Mexican hat.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad you said this is a native grass because we just want to remind everybody that we are native plant lovers. And the reason native plants are important is that they are plants that evolved in this ecosystem native to Colorado.
Yes.
So Wyoming has native plants and Oregon has native plants, so on and so forth. These plants not only evolved here and can handle everything from drought to snow to rain to wind. They're going to survive because they know what to do. They're native to here.
Yep.
But they also interact with insects and birds that are native to here, especially the insects. We've got over 950 native bees here that depend on these plants.
Yeah.
And as you know, and we've talked about many times, some of those bees specifically need, for example, just the porter aster.
Yep.
And that's the only plant they can feed on. So grow natives.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, you did an amazing job on your bags. But did I just cut you off? Was there something you wanted to say?
Well, I was just going to add that it's not just bees. There are other insects that depend on native plants too. Caterpillars that make moths and butterflies.
And where do they lay their eggs?
They lay them on native plants. And monarchs, you may know, need milkweed. But there's a lot of other caterpillars that need other kinds of plants. And they can only eat that one kind of plant. So by planting natives, we ensure they have the food they need.
Yep. And to name a few other, flies, beetles. So there's lots of native pollinators who need our native pollinating plants.
Yeah.
So,
but the other great thing about native plants is they are easy for beginners. They grow themselves here and they know what to do.
They do. They're hardy.
Yep. So I hope we've convinced you why you should grow some native plants. Let's talk about what to do when you get your winter sow bags full of seedlings and you need to get them out. A lot of people have asked me how to tell when they're ready. And the answer is once they have 1 to 2 sets of true leaves. Now we have some seedlings in this box right here that can show you. This one has seed leaves down here, and then it's got 2 sets of true leaves right here.
Here we have some plants that I took out of my seed bag for this demonstration.
This is Golden Banner, and here it is with its 2 seed leaves.
Just baby leaves, just 2 at a time.
Yep. And over here we have one, actually this is the better one. There's the seed leaves, and then here's the first true leaf and the second true leaf.
Now, I will say that when I took these out of the bag for this demonstration a week ago, these babies weren't sprouted yet, or I wouldn't have taken them out yet. But they sprouted after I put them in the soil.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I have a question for you, please.
Yes.
I'm just learning to do this from you, and I'm loving it. See these green speckles here on the side?
Yeah.
Are those seeds that are going to come true pretty soon?
They can be. I've had seeds that fell down the side and germinated. They like this spot. It's warm, it gets light, it's moist. Sometimes they do, and they'll grow right up the side. Just let them do that if it happens.
Okay.
But in this case, what I see is little chunks of perlite, which is a material that is found in potting mix.
That white stuff?
That white stuff.
Okay.
And what happens is algae really like this spot too.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
These little microscopic green organisms, and they are growing on that perlite there, and they can often, they've tricked me before too, look like a little seedling.
This one kind of has leaves on it, so what should I do? Just leave it there?
Just leave it, see what happens.
Will do.
Yep.
Let's talk about these beautiful plants you grew now.
Yeah. So when they have 1 to 2 sets of true leaves is the minimum size, I would take them out of the bag. But if you have rabbits, you want to wait a little bit longer for plants that rabbits like. I like to wait till they're about this size, where they're 2 to 3 inches tall, before I take them out of the bag, just so that if the rabbits get them, there's probably going to be enough plant to grow back. So once you do that, you do not have to cut the bag to get the plants out. People ask me that question a lot. I don't cut the bag because I want to reuse it next year. And so the way to get them out, if they're cuffed like this, you just uncuff them.
So this was growing like this, and then we fold it down here.
Cuffing them is part of the process of getting them hardened off so that they're used to the wind and the air circulation.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but getting them out of the bag is much easier if you uncuff them.
All right, let's pull this one up. Just as though you were going to do those.
Yeah. So the way to do it is, I'll pretend I'm trying to get at it from this side. you support it, because what happens if you don't support it with your arm is it can fall apart on you. And I like to try and keep it in one chunk till I get it out of the bag. You stick your hand in there, you kind of ease it up, get your hand under there, support it from the other side all the way underneath, and then you slide it out.
I'm going to bring this just a little closer to show that beautiful chunk.
Yeah, this is the little blue stem.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And can you show us in your Porter's Aster bag
Yes.
the roots on the bottom, please?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kind of hold that up for the camera so folks can really see them.
Can you see
Bring
through
it
the
right
bag
up there.
that the roots are growing?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think
All
we
right.
can actually see that on the bottom of the little blue stem too. Let's have
All
a-
right, let's
Yeah.
show it.
See, you can see those
Look
roots.
at those roots. Oh, they just look ready for the soil.
They are ready. Okay, so once you have your chunk of plants out of the bag, there's two methods you can use to get them in the ground. One is you can just break a chunk off, like right here. There is a chunk of plants. You can plant it just like that.
And here's this nice little loaf, still nice and intact.
Yeah, and you can just use two thumbs to kind of gently ease it apart. You
Okay.
can look for natural gaps in the plants to kind of decide where you should break it into chunks.
I might want to break that one right there. It kind of does it on its own. I'm not going to pull it apart now, though.
Yeah. So that's how you break them into chunks. Now there's another alternative. Native plants are actually, their roots are very tough. And there's a gardener in Fruita, Colorado named Kenton Seth, who's a crevice gardener, and he has to get his plants down to the roots in order to get them in those teeny tiny crevices. But he has found that for a lot of native plants, they actually benefit if you get them down to bare roots before you plant them. And then instead of this potting mix, which is really important for starting them, you just get them surrounded by the native soil in the ground.
I have an interesting story to tell you. Recently, I got some plants, and they were on sale from a real good gardener, a real good grower, but they were really full of aphids, and I kind of didn't notice until I got them home. They were on sale, maybe that's why. And I brought them home, and there were so many aphids, and I don't really have any ladybugs yet. I mean, it's Colorado. We don't have much yet this time of year. And I decided to try and treat the aphids. So I put the plants in a plastic bag, exposed them to a little heat from the sun, not intensely so, left them that way for 12 hours, opened it up. Sure enough, the aphids were quiescent, if not smothered. I took out those native plants and washed the roots nearly clean in rainwater buckets that I had, planted them in the ground. They've grown several inches since then.
Yep. And native plants actually will do fine if you do that. That is a difference between a lot of native plants and the non-native plants that you might get at the nursery.
The ornamentals that are a lot more fragile.
Yeah. If you just look at a zinnia root wrong, that plant will wilt.
That's it.
Yeah. So anyway, once you've got your chunk, you can just...
I'm going to bring the camera closer
Oh,
so
oh,
they
yeah,
can
yeah.
watch you plant. So let's make sure we get a good angle here for the folks to
just
see.
pretend, this is potting mix, but pretend it's clay or sandy soil, whatever. You do not need to add compost. You do not need to add fertilizer. Sometimes I add just a little touch of organic fertilizer with mycorrhizae, but just because...
You don't even need to do that.
You don't need to do that. You can just stick it in naked into the native soil, plant the soil around it. Andrea and I often like to make a little like volcano crater around the edge where we build up the soil so that when you water it, the water will be directed right down. It'll pool on that plant. Even though these are natives, they're still transplants, and all transplants are going to need extra water until they're established.
Can I ask you a question? Here's something I love to do.
Yeah.
I water them as soon as I plant them.
Oh, I do too. You should do that for several reasons, but one big reason is you want to get that soil kind of settled around the roots so there's no air in there, and watering them will accomplish that. Plus, it gives them a little boost. If there's any transplant shock, it'll help them get over that.
One really important thing about all... Oh, thank you so much.
No problem.
One really important thing about any plant that you transplant, whether you buy it from a nursery in a pot or these ones, is that those little tiny, really long white roots are the ones that transport the most nutrients, and they kind of get broken no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So we need to give them extra water and support till all of those roots spread out.
Yeah. And in order to get a bare root, all you have to do is kind of...
Let me hold this up to the camera for you,
You
and
will
you show them.
just sort of gently tease it apart out of the soil. Try not to break the roots if you can help it. And you can just shake the soil off. If it doesn't want to go, that's fine. This is still more or less a bare root plant. I also have
And
a,
you can see how long that root is.
Yeah.
With just a little soil attached to the side.
here's another one that we bare rooted earlier. This is a better example. This is the Symphyotrichum porteri. You can see it looks pretty naked, but those roots are rugged, and as long as you're gentle with them, they will transplant just fine. I like to make the soil on a bare root a little bit deeper so there's room for that long root to get down there. And all you got to do is just kind of gently support it while you push the soil around right to the crown level, which is where the green part of the plant meets the root.
I'm going to do one too. I'm just going to make a little hole there, put it in, push the soil nice around that breathing part where the green part meets the roots, called the crown. Make a nice little crater around it, and she's ready to go. Give them some water.
Yep, that's
All
it.
right, that's it.
So now you know how to get your winter sowing out of the bag and into the ground, either in chunks or by bare rooting it. Either way works.
I'm going to bring up one small thing really
Yeah.
quick. I've noticed that when I put these I think of them kind of tender for a little while. They're pretty sensitive yet, even though they're going to grow up to be super hardy. I put them out and it's starting to get really sunny. It's getting to be July pretty soon, and it's getting really hot.
Yeah.
I kind of baby mine a little, and I'll give them a little extra water. And if things are looking rough, I might even find a way to shade them a little bit in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Even with natives, when it's getting really hot and really brutal, if watering is not enough, and frequent watering is something you should do with all transplants again,
Yep.
give them a little shade. Sometimes I even use like an upside down flower pot.
Me too.
Or you could use shade cloth if you have that. So
It depends on where the plant's growing, but I'm happy to put a nice little clay pot over a plant for a few hours.
just for a few hours or even a day or two,
And
whatever
I
it
will,
takes.
when I do that, I put stones or bricks so that it's not in there baking.
Yeah.
And it gets some circulation through the
some
bottom.
air ventilation.
Those are some great details.
Yeah, and again, our message overall that we want to share with all of you is you can do this. It is not hard. Don't be intimidated.
You don't have to spend $1 million per plant. These are native plants from native seeds, grown without chemicals, without fertilizers, just in your own soil.
Yeah.
Do it. We support you.
Try it, throw it in the ground. They'll grow themselves. They're natives and they know what to do.
Okay, great. Good to see you. Thanks
to
for
see you
doing
too,
this
Nick.
video.
And
Let's make some more soon.
yes. Good luck, everyone. See ya.